Hello everyone, and welcome back to Warm Talk with Cody. Before starting this week's episode, I just want to apologize again for rescheduling and postponing last week's episode. Supposedly this week's episode 4 and last week is episode 3, but beginning of last week I was excited to record episode 3, but halfway through a week I don't know how and why all of a sudden I fell ill. I was sick and wasn't 100% myself, and I did an announcement update episode last week that I have to postpone it to this week. And I did a little sneak peek last week of what this week's topic would be about. It would be about struggling with self-confidence and self-esteem. Now, I just want to put a disclaimer out there first. I'm not a professional psychiatrist, psychologist, or therapist, but I just want to share my experience based on my perspective and possibly guide and help people, some individuals, to improve and boost their self-esteem and confidence. My advice and tips might not work for everyone, but I hope that it might help some that are currently facing with low self-confidence and low self-esteem. I'm still learning that today, but I hope that my experience will help some individuals, and some individuals can grow with me together to learn from each other, to boost each other and help each other. Ever since I can remember, I've struggled with low self-confidence and low self-esteem since I was little. There are actually two causes that affected my low self-esteem and low self-confidence, one of which is actually my academic performances. I struggled academically from elementary school towards high school, which is around year 1 towards year 11. My academic achievement currently in college is much greater, so much better than what it was in elementary school towards high school. I tend to compare myself to my older brother, which is a fact that I forgot to mention in episode 1 about my older brother. This isn't the fact about me. I have an older brother. He is the oldest in the family and I'm the youngest. He and I are 4 years apart, and he is in his final year of degree studying psychology. Because he does well academically since he was little, even until today. So when he and I were younger, I used to compare myself to him all the time, and I dreamt of being like him, being free from headaches, not having to worry or stress about his academic performances or his studies or examinations. And just so you know, I attended private schools from the age of 7 to 13 years old, roughly about 6 to 7 years. I used to score decent grades from year 1 to year 3. However, in the midst of year 3, I transferred schools because of some issues with my previous private school, and that's where my grades, I'm not sure how, but it started to decline and drastically drop. When I was around 10 years old, I completely neglected. I didn't even fully complete my homework. I just left it there. And my form teacher, during that time, he put me and another student sitting together and called us the lazy couple. I won't disclose names to protect them, and I've already forgiven them, and it happened a long time ago, so it is in the past. However, I realized that whole entire year of that experience, it truly traumatized me, and I was irritated, pissed, mad, and angry at my form teacher during that time. In addition, there is a final exam in year 6, which is around 12 years old, before you move on to year 7, which is UPSR. In my country, we have 3 exams. One is UPSR, where you have to take it compulsory in year 6. And another one is PT3, that is around Form 3 when you're 15 years old. That is also compulsory. And SPM, that is around Form 5 when you're 17. In British, it is GCSE, and in Singapore, it is O-level before you apply to colleges. That year 6, my math teacher, she uses the PE physical education classes lesson to replace for her math lesson all the time. She used those lessons to teach students who struggled with mathematics, including I myself. And I remembered having extra math classes and tuition from my year 6 math teacher almost every single Saturday, which is actually restricting me from getting like relaxation time or alone time for myself during the weekends, because I mean, who wants to go back to school on weekends to have extra tuition classes from your teachers? Like, you don't even have time for yourself to relax. And because private school schedules, it usually goes something like this. Every morning at 5:30 a.m., I get ready for school, reach there around 6:40 a.m. Classes begins around 7:30 a.m. and lasted until 3:40 p.m. And if there is any extracurricular activities and sports day training, it ends around 5 p.m. or 5:30. And because weekdays around 5 p.m., that's where office employees and students are off school hours and working hours, so there's traffic jam almost every single day. I reached home by around 6:30 p.m. I took shower, have dinner, and I spent rest of my evening either finishing tons and tons of homework or attending extra tuition classes. You barely even have time for yourself to unwind or to play on your phone or to pull yourself away from the stress and tension from academic performances, like pull yourself away from studies. And I also remembered that because there's like a parent teacher meeting every single year, and every year when my parents are called in, they would talk about my grades and how it's not improving, it's declining. And they encourage my parents to find ways to find ways for me to improve my education. But no matter how many tuitions I go, no matter like who teaches me, I just still couldn't get it. Towards the end of year 7, I've made the decision and I told my parents that I'll be pulling myself from that private school and transfer to a public school, because I thought to myself, I wasn't able to cope with the intense academic standards, keeping up with the high academic performances, and the pressure it was causing to my health physically and mentally. And I think friendship problems are also another past trauma and another causes that sets off my low self-esteem and low self-confidence. I remembered back when I was in elementary school when I was younger, I used to make friends easily, but bullies, they dragged peers from me from elementary school throughout high school. That's why I kept my friends, like circle friends, really small. And I think that because of my past friendship problems and experiences, I tend to overthink everything and I get anxious over little things easily, which it makes it harder for me to make friends now than it was when I was younger. Now I just simply wait for someone to come up to me to start a conversation or to strike up a conversation with me. I can converse with close friends and people that I'm familiar with, otherwise not so much. Although I am aware and I know that being alone, being by myself, it is unhealthy. But I think because my current self it is shaped by my past traumas. And especially in the last year and a half since I started college, I've been easily influenced by peers, and because of the strain of assignments and exams, it has negatively impacted my mental health and my physical health in various aspects. For instance, my family has been encouraging me to start this podcast, Warm Talk with Cody, since the middle of this year, and I truly appreciate how supportive they've been. They've supported me since day one, still gives me full support till today, unwavering support. However, even before I start this podcast, I was fearful of stepping out of my comfort zone because I was already fearing and afraid of the worst. My lecturer from advertising principal from last semester, she asked my class to make a life goal map and set a goal for ourselves, like what we want to achieve in 5 to 10 years time. I just mentioned during that presentation that I wanted to launch my own first podcast. And from there onwards, it's like a one big project, but she split into I think 6 to 7 sections of the assignment, and it made things a lot easier for me to start my podcast. She assisted me, guided me, helped me, supported me the whole process I began producing my podcast. I owed her a heartfelt thank you for giving me the confidence and self esteem boost that I needed. And she showed me that someone other than my family members supported me in pursuing and following my passion and my dream. From my personal experiences that I've go through over the years, and based on my observations and been recalling and learning from my past traumas and experiences, I did realize and note it down, accumulate all the signals that I've encountered before and still do encounter some today. One of which is actually whenever I do have any new challenges or new goals or any new changes like occurring in my life, I tend to run away, escape, like back out of it, avoiding it. And I think another signal that I've also now realized, especially since last year, after I graduated, this signal has been a bit unstable, which is actually being anxious over little things. I tend to get anxious easily by little things. Like I mentioned in my disclaimer, I'm not a professional psychologist or therapist. I've never been diagnosed like mental health, physical health, never been. But I think I might have my anxiety. I'm not too sure. Might be, not too sure. But I do get anxious easily. Like my anxiety, I worry things easily, and I sometimes doubt myself as well, overthink. And if you are a perfectionism, like a perfectionist like me, I am a perfectionist, you do set bar really high for yourself and high expectations for yourself. But if you didn't hit that bar, like the high expectation and high bar that you set for yourself, you blame yourself, you get upset. Sometimes I do that, I do blame myself, I get upset. There are a few times I remember this year that I've ever, occurred where I didn't hit the high expectation that I wanted, and I got upset for quite a while. Not really long, but maybe a few hours or few days. And another signal that I've realized also is that I do have the fear of being judged by people. I remembered last year before I entered into college, I started my own YouTube channel thanks to my parents, my family's support as well. And I love doing YouTube. It has been my dream since I was little, and I was so happy that I get to live and try out, being a YouTuber, experiencing, how it feels like doing YouTube. I love it, still do. But the filming and editing can get really tiring, and filming in public, if you don't take up your camera every single day and vlog, you do have that camera shy, that camera anxiety. You are scared to film in front of camera. I remember there are a few times in public, no matter if it's traveling or in my hometown, when I film in public, I do get anxious and worry of what others might think of me. I'm aware of my surrounding and the people around me. My mindset started to give me all this negative self-talk, like what will people think about me? Would they think I'm ugly? Would they think I'm weird? What am I doing? Why am I looking so weird, like taking out camera, filming in public? And those few signals, it does trigger my mental health, like whenever if I do encounter like life issues, and if it triggers those signals, it will appear back. So how do I overcome it? Being worried all the time, being anxious, my low self-esteem, my low confidence. One thing that I do, I've done it for quite a few years. I think since I was about 11 or 12, I started writing journey until this year, about 6 to 7 years now. I started writing my individual journal. My friends and I went in the bookstore, and I just saw this diary and thought, why not to write it in a journal? But because around 15 years old, because of like study pressures and exams, I stopped writing at 15 years old. And until after my final exam during 17 years old, the SVM exam finished, completed, I finally start writing again, and it feels so good to be back writing, even though my hands do get sore. But it's like a way for me to vent my thoughts and feelings in the journal other than venting it to my family. Journal is another way. And another way of how I do overcome my self esteem is by my family, close friends, and teachers' support. Like my family, they have been my number one supporter since day one, in no matter what I do, and like what dreams I want to pursue, what goals I want to pursue. I owe it to them. Heartfelt thanks to my family, my friends, my teachers for their care, love, and support. And another way I overcome my self esteem and confidence is using positive affirmation. I used to read positive affirmations back when I was in elementary, middle school, high school. I did, but it's lesser and lesser because back then I used to note it down. I don't use cell phone during that time. I note it down or I print it out, hang it on the wall. But when I got phone, I just save it in my phone using Pinterest or save it to a gallery. I went to a bookstore another day and I saw a book of positive affirmation, and I just flipped to a page and there's two affirmations, positive affirmations in that book that I wanted to share before I end this episode. And I hope that these two affirmations will help to boost your self-esteem and confidence, and it will give you guys encouragement. My advice to you is that just keep trying and trying and trying, and never give up on pursuing your dreams, your goals, your passion, because that's what my family, my teachers told me. Just keep trying, because even if you fail, just pick yourself up and keep trying, because failure you'll learn more. If you don't try, you'll never experience anything. And that concludes episode 3 of Warm Talk with Cody. And I hope this week's topic and my story, my experiences, my tips and advices will be able to guide individuals out there that are currently struggling with self-esteem and confidence, and those who have struggled before. You can share your experience and you can leave in the comments below like tips and advices. This is my question to you. Like, you can leave, any tips and advices, methods that work for you, that is a way for you to help you to boost and improve your confidence and your self-esteem, because it not only just help other listeners, it might help me too, because like I mentioned in my podcast description, my main goal is that we encourage each other, we help each other to grow and learn, and I'm able to watch you guys grow, and you guys are able to watch me grow together to help each other. And I hope that you find like one or two things useful from this week's episode. And I can't wait to record again next week's episode 4. Stay tuned for episode 4, and I'll update you guys again next week what topic it'll be. And I'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye, y'all.